Hi, hello, สวัสดีครับ Nice to meet you. I'm Ken.
Okay, very nice to meet you.
I would like to start with a bit of your personal story, personal journey.
Sure.
You know, we share the same journey. I started as an intern in my company,
Okay.
and then have risen to become CEO.
Yet,
You as well. How did you make it?
after many years, I think I was lucky that I joined the company when HP was growing very fast. And I had the opportunity of working in many different businesses, many different departments, and really learn along the way. Also, I had the luxury of working with incredibly strong leaders that I learned a lot from. And the combination of the company growing, delivering on the results, learning from great people, opened a lot of opportunities. And over time, I was able to do more complex jobs, bigger jobs, and eventually became the CEO.
Okay, what is your biggest lesson that you can share with us?
Always never be limited by what you think you can do or by what you know what to do. Because if you aspire to do something much bigger, eventually either you get there or for sure you will get further than if you don't.
Okay.
And this is something I share always with the new employees and with younger employees, that they really need to aspire to do whatever they want. I think another big lesson is you need to enjoy what you do, because we spend a lot of time working, and enjoying what you do is really not. Every job has good things and bad things.
Sure.
Everybody likes the good things. Enjoying a job means you need to enjoy solving the problems, enjoying the bad things of the job, because they are anywhere.
It's really difficult.
This is what you really need to make sure you're ready for, and that you're going to be willing to spend a lot of time.
Okay.
And if you do, you will enjoy, and things will go much better.
Okay, amazing. I love that. So moving to the company's history, HP has a rich history, rich background.
Yes.
Started in a garage and then evolving into a global tech company. So can you highlight some pivotal moments?
Sure. Yes, and you're right. HP started in a garage, and we still have the garage.
Oh, really?
And we use the garage to bring customers to see them, kind of the history of the company.
Okay, it's a
where
museum
the
right
company
now.
started. It's kind of a museum.
Okay.
And it's a very special place, because you can really see how from something really small you can make something much bigger. I think there are many pivotal moments in the company, from the time the first computer was introduced in the 60s, or when the first printer was introduced in the 80s, or when the company split almost 10 years ago. All these are moments that define how the company has been evolving. But I think probably as important as the changes are the things that have not changed. And I think the fact that we continue to be focused on innovation, in understanding how technology can make the life better for our customers, how our values and how we do things is as important as what we do. And the fact that we care, of course, about growing the business, delivering profit, but we also care about having a positive impact in the environment, having a positive impact in the life of our customers, in the life of the communities that we serve. That's very important. The fact that we care about our employees and about making sure that they can grow, and they can grow in the company, they can learn, but also they can combine their personal lives and their professional lives. All these that are the values the company had 80 years ago when it started continue to be as relevant now as they were in the 40s when the company was born.
Yeah, let's focus on separation. I would like to talk about this, because I think you led the team responsible for splitting companies to HP and Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So what have you learned from that? And what was the business theory behind that?
Yeah, let me start with the business theory. The business theory was focus will be important for the companies. And because the company was very big, we were selling from a $30 cartridge to a $100 million data center. It was clearly too broad to really be able to dedicate enough attention, especially from the board perspective, to the different segments. So focus and the value of focus was the first driver of the separation, and it clearly worked. And second was, from a market value perspective, Wall Street values much more smaller companies where they can understand more what is doing than big conglomerates.
Okay.
And this also proved to be true. And if you look at the value of the shares now compared to where they were before, it has significantly increased.
It's more agile.
It's more agile, and also for investors, it's easier to understand because you have more visibility of the different businesses. And in our case, in the case of Hewlett HP Inc., has clearly been a big success. The value of the shares has grown, our share in the market has increased, we have created new categories, and we see a lot of opportunities for growth that we are very, very pleased with.
Okay, shifting to today, in your recent keynote, you emphasize this word, realistic optimism. So can you elaborate more about this, and what are the key trends HP is focusing on?
Sure. I think if we look at the opportunities that the company has in front of us or in front of it, we are really excited about what can we do to grow in multiple segments. And at a very high level is the combination of two big things, two big trends, and two big problems that we see in the world.
Okay.
The two big problems are, from one side, companies, all our companies want to increase the productivity of our teams. And we want people to do more with less. All of us as individuals want to have more freedom and want to be able to combine better our professional lives and our personal lives. And these two things are creating tension. Companies want productivity, you want more freedom and ability and flexibility. We think that hybrid work and AI are going to help us to make these two things work together. And being the company that allows that, that enables that, is the big opportunity that we see ahead of us.
Okay.
And we think that because of the portfolio of products that we have, PCs, printers, video conferencing room, headsets, cameras, which is everything you need to, anything that you need to work, combining with AI that will help us to improve the productivity of the users, we really have an opportunity of really being the company that simplifies and makes that real.
เรื่องที่สองครับเราจะคุยกันเรื่องของเทคโนโลยีหรือว่าถ้ามุมมอง HP ก็คือ business เขาจะ growth ไปทางไหนคีย์เวิร์ดสำคัญในวันนี้คือ AI PC AI device หลังจากนี้ AI มาแน่แล้วก็จะเข้ามาตอบโจทย์ทั้งในแง่ของ productivity ทั้งในแง่ของ hybrid work หรือว่า work life balance ที่เขาพูดถึงว่าจะทำยังไงให้เราสามารถมี way of work ที่พัฒนาต่อไป Okay, talking about personal computers and printers, do you think the future of PC and printer still bright? I mean, people nowadays don't use PC or printer as much anymore?
I think it is very bright, and especially if we think about PCs, people use more now PCs than they used some years ago.
Oh, really?
They spend more time.
Okay.
PCs have become much more relevant to do work, and there is the number of hours people spend in front of the PCs continues to grow. And if we think about what AI is going to do and how AI integrating it into the PCs is going to allow PCs to be even more relevant, allow even more productivity, really is going to make things really bright for us. If you think about what technology has done in the last years, has really simplified the process to create knowledge. When the first PCs were created, it was all about capturing more data and processing more data faster. The web allowed people to get access to information. And the process to generate knowledge is you start with data, then you have to information, and then you go to knowledge. AI is going to simplify and accelerate the process to create knowledge from information. And by integrating AI into our PCs, into our printer, it's going to dramatically accelerate that. Okay. So the value we will create is much higher, the productivity impact will be much bigger, and this is why we are so excited about the opportunity ahead of us.
Okay, tell me more about AI PC. What is really AI PC? How does it work, and why does it matter?
Yeah, let me start with from why it matters. Today, we are starting to experience AI mostly from the cloud.
Right.
You open an application, it's running on the cloud, and you can do many amazing things. With an AI PC, you can do the same thing locally. So rather than having to go to the cloud, the language model will be running locally in your PC.
Okay.
And this has three major advantages. Well, a big advantage is that if you want to use the model with your own data, with your private data, you don't need to upload the data to the cloud. So it's more secure. If you're a small company that wants to analyze your sales data with a model, you don't want to put your sales data in the cloud. You want to do it locally. This you will be able to do with an AI PC. Second big advantage is speed. When you interact with AI in the cloud, there is a long time between the time you ask the question, you get the question, and if you ask multiple questions, there is a lot of latency. Running things locally is much faster. It's immediate access. So it's more secure, it's faster, and then finally it's cheaper.
Cheaper?
When you run things in the cloud, it's expensive, especially if you're a company that has to build its own cloud model. It's a very expensive model. When you run things locally, there is not an extra cost. It's just the PC is running the application. So cheaper, faster, and more secure.
But if you
Big
compare
benefits.
the new model with old models, it will cheaper?
No.
No.
If you think about the new PCs with the current PCs, of course the new PCs will deliver much more value and will be slightly more expensive. But compare to running the AI application in the cloud,
Okay, I got
is
it.
much cheaper.
Okay. Bill Gates once said, this is the powerful quote in history, a computer on every desk and in every home, supported by software of Microsoft. So do you think like that? I mean, every PC in the future on every desk will support and powered by AI.
I think the exciting thing about where we are is not anymore about every PC, which I agree is a PC not in every desk, is really used by every human in the planet. That should be our goal. But with AI, everything is going to become a computer. If you think about, we have a big business of headsets. Over time, we will be integrating AI in the headsets.
Okay.
So you will be able to interact with your headset, and your headset is going to become your personal advisor. Because you will have a question, you will want to make a decision, you will ask the question to the headset that you will have. So it's really, printers will have AI models running that will simplify the printing process. So every device is going to be an AI device, it's going to be a smart device, which eventually is a computer.
So you stay at the forefront of technology. Please tell us what the future looks like.
I think it's a very bright future. If we think about the opportunities that technology is going to have in the next 10, 20 years to simplify our lives, to make our lives more productive, we are going to see probably more changes in the next 10 years that we have seen in the last 30. And we have seen a lot of changes in the last 30 years. Just think about what AI will do is before you have to make any decision, you are going to have next to you the biggest expert in the topic you need to make a decision in the history of human being. You will, and the amount of the quality of the information you will be able to make, the speed at which you will be able to make is something unprecedented. So that's the power of what is going to happen in the next years that I don't think we still understand the magnitude of the impact this is going to have.
Okay, but when we talk about AI, I think somebody really scared of risk, right? You know, responsible AI is the hottest topic right now. So how do you balance between ethics and productivity or growth?
I think ethics is something that we always need to balance. And I think that we need to have a balanced use of technology and we need some regulation. But at the same time, I think it's really important that we are optimistic about the value that technology is going to have. If we were in the 1700s, 300 years ago, and we were talking to a farmer here in Thailand, and we would be telling this person, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, all the work that you do with your horse to cultivate your field is going to be done with a machine, with a robot. That person would be totally scared.
Right.
Will not even understand what we are talking about. We are facing something similar.
Okay.
When you look backward 300 years ago, we see the value this has created. Of course, there has been a lot of change.
Okay.
And I think what we have now is a bit of fear of the change that is coming, but we need to stay optimistic because the positive impact of this will significantly overcome the risk that, of course, that we see, and of course, we need to manage. But the balance is very, very different.
Okay, but given your analogy, what framework or what playbook should we teach our farmers, our workers right now? What is your internal playbook for your company?
I think there are multiple things that we need to care. One, for example, is how do we protect our own data? How do we protect our IP? And when I say our, I mean the IP that is generated by any of our customers. I think that's a very important framework because the limits of what you own, your company owns versus another company, if we are not careful, will be split. At the same time, we need to start looking at how to regulate the positive and the negative use of AI. Probably a better example is how do we regulate the use of nuclear power or nuclear energy. We have been able to build some organizations, international organizations that regulate that. We will need to build something equivalent, and there are many discussions that are happening. So there are frameworks for previous big technology disruptions that can be used. But again, we need to have in mind that the benefit is always much bigger than the risk. And in this case, I think we're talking too much about the risk, not enough about the value.
Sure. But building large language model is quite expensive, enormously expensive. Few players are doing this. So what is your AI approach? I mean, large language model approach. Do you build your own large language model?
I think building a generic model is very expensive. Training a generic model with your own data is not. And this is what companies are starting to do. They take a generic model, they take their own data, and privately they generate their own model that really creates value for them. That's something that needs to be done. This is something also that governments are starting to do, because one of the risks that we have is that if the models are developed all in one part of the world, those cultures will dominate the world.
Right.
So I think it's important that multiple countries with great and rich cultures develop their models, because this will be the way to preserve the culture. And this is something that is also being done, not everywhere, but it's starting to happen. So I think driving this more pervasive use of technology is going to be critical to make sure everybody can take advantage of the technology.
So can I assume that you are encouraging Thailand to build our own large language model?
In a very humble way, yes. Let me give an example. We are working with the government in Spain to develop their own model in Spanish, integrating all the Spanish culture.
Oh, really?
And we're working with them. In Spain, there is something called the National Library, where there are all the books published in the 1400s. So we're working with them to digitize them and to develop a model that will integrate that knowledge into the model. So I'm not familiar with what is happening in Thailand in that space, but this is definitely that they should be looking and considering doing.
Wow, interesting. So let's get back to business landscape. As you wish, I mean, AI PC will be on every desk, but it could be your rival. I mean, Dell, Lenovo, or even Apple. So what's your strategy?
Of course, we want the company that provides and that wins in this change. And there are many things we are doing to differentiate our solutions. One of them is security. We, for many years, security in our PCs, in our printers, has been one of the key differentiators for HP. And with AI, it's even more relevant because the need to protect the data is even bigger, and the need to protect the models is even bigger, because if you have the model running in your PC, there is a lot of intellectual property in that model. So you don't want that model to be stolen. So protecting that model is really something critical that with both software and hardware solutions we are building and we are protecting. Another differentiator for us is going to be performance. We're working with all the key software vendors, silicon vendors, to integrate our solutions end-to-end to improve the performance that we provide. And finally, a big differentiator for us over the last years that will continue to be is our focus on sustainability. We think that both consumers and companies want to buy from brands that are doing the right thing for the planet. And we have a lot of focus in making sure we use sustainable materials, that our factories use sustainable energy, that our products are recyclable, that we invest in recycling programs, that we invest in programs to reduce digital equity, which we consider part of sustainability, and this is going to continue to be a big part of HP differentiation and what really makes the HP brand stand out.
Okay, amazing. So let's shift gears to printing industry.
Okay.
So for me as an outsider, I think people nowadays don't use paper as much anymore. So is printing business still a good business?
Printing is a very good business, and we see different trends in different categories and in different markets. In print, we see three major businesses. One is printing at home. So you have a printer at home and you use to print your photos. This business has been declining, and we think it will continue to decline. Second is printing in the office. And this business is actually flat because what we see is as the economy and the world continues to grow, more printers are bought because there are more companies and this drives growth. In some cases, people print less, but one thing compensates the other. And then the third big opportunity in printing is what we call industrial printing. It's about printing labels, printing packaging, printing wallpaper. That market is growing because usually this has been done using analog technologies that were invented 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and all that is going digital. Because if you do digital, you can reduce the time to create the campaigns, the time to create the new designs, and you can do personalization. So for example, you might be familiar with a campaign that Coke did where the cans had the name of the customers.
Oh yeah.
All this was done with our printers.
Okay,
Because
I
we
see.
can personalize labels, so we can produce labels for Ken, labels for different individuals with their names, which makes your connection with the can different.
Okay.
And these are the type of things we see growing and enabling.
So industrial printing is a growth business for your opinion.